¿Y dónde está Boba Fett? ¿Sabes, Bert?
Welcome to El Mandalero. This is our Mandalorian podcast for season 2 of the Disney's Star Wars: The Mandalorian. I'm Bert.
I'm Alex.
Y yo soy Jesse.
I knew it.
Bienvenidos a el podcast por el Mandalero. My Spanish is terrible. My wife's dying in the next room right now.
She's like, you're killing me.
I brought shame on my family.
I'm really excited to talk about this show because because of the other show that we're podcasting on right now and the contrast between the two. But
the other show is Star Trek Discovery, and it's awful.
It's decent.
No, it's not awful. I'm joking.
But check out our podcast on that too. It's called Disco Trek, and it'll be in the same feed for now. What else I want to mention? Oh, we're running a prediction pool, so get your predictions in for this season of The Mandalorian. We'll put the link in our show notes and in the doobly-doo on the YouTube posting for this episode. Give us your plot prediction, and we talk about them during the episode. And if you get the most right, then, maybe you win something, or maybe you just win bragging rights. We'll see how we feel. But you win, which is what's really important. Okay, so let's go to our predictions. We're going to just talk about sort of our favorite one, or the one that we think is the most interesting or the most likely to come true. Alex, why don't you start?
All right, I'm going to go with my second biggest plot point prediction, which is related to the Darksaber, which is just something that I think is just a really, really cool piece of old tech that I think is a great use of fan service. And I think my prediction is that one of two things is probably going to happen with the Darksaber, which is that the Mandalorian's going to get the Darksaber, and then it's going to be whether or not he takes his rightful place as like trying to become Mandalore, or it sparks something in him, and then he starts figuring out that he's special, maybe, probably, hopefully not a Force-sensitive sort of Jedi
he's
way.
Got the midichlorians.
I really hope that he doesn't have the midichlorians, but I really think that that getting it is going to sort of show him that he's not just a Mandalorian, that he is the Mandalorian. And I think that's my biggest prediction for.
He's going to be Mandalore, the greatest.
Because it is. So I didn't watch which series was it? Was this a Clone Wars thing, or was this a Rebels thing?
Oh, it's it's a Clone Wars thing. I mean, also the Darksaber is just cool, and seeing it in a main series kind of thing was really, really cool. And like I said previously, like the fan service, I think that this, even just in one episode, they've managed to give like 5 or 6 shout outs to the nerdiest amongst us, and I think they did it all in a good way, as opposed to like it wasn't obnoxious. Like it felt smooth, and I think that's the cool stuff with the Darksaber is my big prediction for this.
I feel like calling it Darksaber is a kick in the teeth to people who cherish the old expanded universe, because for old EU fans, that is a giant cigar-shaped Death Star that the Hutts built.
Yeah, I mean,
in one of the most ridiculous novelizations ever for the expanded universe.
Absolutely. I mean, talking about the expanded universe at all, I think is sketchy these days. But yeah, I think that Disney, in killing the EU, I know the comments are going to be ugly now, but in killing the EU, really did us a favor, because I would say 90% of the EU was really, really quite badly written.
You go to hell. You go to hell right now.
Right. I know that the comments are all going to be the guy in the Optimus Prime
Mara Jade is a
costume.
gem, and you suck, Alex.
And again, like there are 10% of the stuff is good stuff that I miss. I absolutely do miss. But I mean, the vast majority of it, I'm glad is gone. And honestly, it was a good time for it, and it was And the Mandalorian, if the Mandalorian is what we get from killing the EU, if we get like people that are willing to be, the Mandalorian is risky in a lot of ways. Like they're pulling characters and they're pulling artifacts from many different series that again some Star Wars fans have even watched. That's dangerous from a Disney perspective, and they're still doing it, and that's cool to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do like that they're doing that. I need to watch the Clone Wars. It's disgusting. I know it's disgusting that I haven't watched it. I feel wrong that I have to ask. I know the Darksaber is connected. I know the Mandalore, the great stuff. I know it's like a power symbol for the Mandalorians and everything.
All right. Jesse, you want to go next with one of your predictions?
I think I had like really basic predictions. I mean, like it's Star Wars. I don't think we're going to get a lot of surprising plot points. You know, he's going to take the kid and he's going to find either a planet full, because they say in the previews a race of Jedi or sorcerers. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, unless they're really confused about what Jedi are, and so they think they're a race. The way I thought Mandalorians were a race, because again, didn't watch the Clone Wars. You know, if they're as confused as I was, you know, maybe they just think Jedis are their own thing. If they're not, then, you know, either he'll take it to a group of Jedis or the Yoda species, which is never named in any. I don't think they ever named them in any material. I don't think they were.
It's never named.
They were never even named in the EU, as far as I know. Lucas never named them ever, even though there's a female one that appears in the prequels. I forget what her name is, but it's something like Yoda. Like there's not a lot of like diversity in their naming, in their nomenclature. My prediction is that quest and all the little helpful things he does by stopping in little towns here and there and helping people get out of, you know, like Western-like situations where these guys are, the railroad company's coming in and they're going to bulldoze the town. Hey, I wonder if the Krayt Dragon symbolizes the railway. It goes through town, it destroys it. It's taking their cattle. And I do think that Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett will, at least at some point or another, be his teammates, replacing, for the most part, Carl Weathers and what's-her-face?
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kara.
Yeah.
That one. Anyway, they'll replace those two characters, and which I'm excited about. I like that idea of a Fett, like Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, and Mando. You know, just them being like a reluctant trio. And I think Fett will turn on them. I think Fett will remain. He's a villain, right? He's never not been a villain. He's not a Mandalorian, right?
No.
The Fetts weren't Mandalorians. They just have they have Mandalorian armor because of its utility for them, but they're not Mandalorians. No. They don't ascribe to the creed. So I think he'll remain a villain, and I think to the extent that he partners with them, he'll turn on the both of them later. And I think we'll get a retcon Fett death.
Oh.
I think he will die at the hands of a Mandalorian.
Okay.
Yeah.
A real man.
I'm gonna kill him.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, not some stupid sarlacc with a retconned head.
So for me, I had a bunch of predictions about the Yoda homeworlds as well. I think that's going to be the sort of meta quest of the season, is finding the child's homeworld and finding the Yoda. But I think that Ahsoka is actually going to be an enemy of the Mandalorian for the majority of the season. I think that she is going to have been quested with either protecting the location of the Yoda homeworld, or she's going to assume that the Mandalorian is somehow on the same side as Gideon and trying to use the child to locate its homeworld. And she's going to be trying to stymie him for most of the season until 2 episodes before the end, she realizes that they're on the same side and they both team up to fight against Gideon. I think that's my prediction.
It's a good prediction.
Although, like, rewatching the last episode of the first season, I started to question whether they were telegraphing that Moff Gideon is actually some sort of like double agent, just because if you remember in the last episode of the first season, he has them pinned down in the sort of house and they're bringing the giant Gatling gun and they set it up. He has it pointed at them and then he waits. It's like the middle of the day and he's like, you know, I'll give you until sundown to make your decision whether you want to, you know, just give me the child or not. And then if you take too long, we're going to blast you out of there. Kill you all. But I mean, that only gives them time to escape through the sewers, which he presumably would have known that this place had to have some sort of sewage system. Like, he's just giving them time to escape for no reason. I know it's like a traditional villain sort of, I'm going to tell you my secret plan sort of thing. But after I eat dinner, I'll be back in 4 hours and then I'll kill you, Mr. Bond, like that kind of thing. But I wondered if, like, this was actually going to be one of my predictions, but I thought it was too far-fetched, that he actually is letting the Mandalorian go so that the Mandalorian can be quested with finding the things homeworld, and then he can tail them to the Yoda homeworld, because he believes that, you know, Force users destabilize the universe, and the only way to bring true, order is to eradicate them. Okay, so let's move on from predictions and start talking about the episode. Out of 10, what do you guys give it?
Oh, this is dangerous. I mean, what kind of granular system could we use? Like, I mean, I think we maybe need to, like, first do a 3 or 4 hour brainstorm on, like, what a 1 means, what a 2 means. I mean, I'm going to say 9 just because I don't want to give it a 10, because I don't want to, like,
There's nowhere to go up from there.
Right, exactly. So I'm going to say probably a strong 8 or a 9. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely love the episode from beginning to end. What about you, Jesse?
So, I mean, in two respects, I have two different opinions of it. As a regular episode, this would be a 10. As an opening episode, it's kind of a 5 for me. But it's just because I think that aside from the Fett reveal at the end, which was fantastic, I felt like this is like more like a middle of the season story. This is like a stop along. It's like a stop along the way. Like, aside from the opening sequence where he shows up in the out of nowhere town and, you know, breaks up the, you know, starts a fight at that Gumorian Guard wrestling venue. That was a nice opening. The rest of the episode, it just felt like it belonged more in the middle of the season. It didn't really set the stage for me. Like, yeah, I know what's happening now, and it's a great episode. I would have liked it to start with a little more context for what the season is really about. This is really more, like I'm doing a pit stop in this small town to do something, and I'm going to help them with their problems so I can get the Mandalorian armor back.
Yeah. So I give it a 7. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie, but I have the same issue as Jesse. His quest is to find the child's home, and that's great. But I would have expected that at the beginning there would be more to reinforce why this quest is so important, or show what he's done since we left him in the last episode. Maybe, you know, showing him a montage of him flying from planet to planet, getting clues or whatever. Something to show that he's been on this quest and that it's really important because it's, you know, Mandalorian code or something. They just sort of threw you in there, and he's talking to that, you know, mobster-like character who's at the fight and tells him that, you know, he can find a Mandalorian on Tatooine, which is also like, you know, it's strange that he would have never heard of there being a Mandalorian on Tatooine, but whatever. I enjoyed the plot, and I agreed that it felt like something that happens in the middle of your quest to find the child's, you know, people or whatever, not at the beginning. Like, he sort of has no clues now. That was his one lead, and now, like, the next episode has to start off with a sort of Deus Ex Machina, like, you know, he's just eating dinner and somebody walks in, is like, I heard you're looking for clues about Yodas, and just randomly finds him. Just a little bit weird choice for the first one.
Yeah, but I mean, still like, it is a spectacular episode, like, viewed on its own, and not trying to, like, for me, like, that's like, I mean, that's that fight with the Krayt Dragon is, I mean, that whole sequence was great. I mean, like, at no point in the episode was I bored either. I just wanted more scene setting for the first episode in the season.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't even need that much action. It could have been less action and more story driven, just to kind of set the stage for the season. And I feel like now it's like they're starting in the same position next week. Which is my criticism of things like Discovery, where we're 3 episodes in and we're in the same place we were in the first episode, right? With just a little bit of extra backstory. I just feel like when you've got a season that's only going to be 10 to 13 episodes or 8 episodes or however many episodes this is going to be, you got to start off with the story immediately. I feel like you can't waste that real estate you have when you only have so many episodes.
Not that many episodes, yeah. All right, so let's move on to episode discussion. Alex, you're at the top of the rundown, so why don't you start?
Sure. The first thing I wanted to talk about, you want to play the clip? Is this? I know we've talked about this like 5 times amongst ourselves, but
yeah, let's bring this. I'm interested to talk about this one, so I'll start playing.
Little thing has had me worried sick.
Like, thank the Force. Like, I get it. I mean, you're a sci-fi writer, and you know that you can't just write idioms from modern day. So you write an idiom that's in the universe, and you're like, oh, we would say stuff like "thank the Force." And I know we've talked about this a lot, but we are supposed to, at the same time, believe that nobody remembers the Jedi, and that in the last 10 years that all knowledge of the space police is gone and their whole religion. And I know that every civilization has different words to talk about the Force and about it, but it's just a strange thing to put in when, like, in one of the first sequences, for somebody to be like, "Thank the Force, you must be a Jedi because of how good you are at protecting this kid." Like, it was just a weird line that really threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Because it just doubles down on a criticism. I know we didn't think this up. Every single person I've talked to has the same confused criticism of, it's only been 10 years and the leaders of the resistance that just won that war were almost entirely Jedis. And so, like, it was very strange. I get that the universe is big, and I get that they want to, like, avoid the Force stuff, because I mean that they really should, because they want a story that's not just another Jedi story, and not specifically a Lucas story. But I just felt like that scene was egregious.
I think they should just start using it for everything. Like, when someone wants to be positive, they should be like, "Force, yeah."
Thank the Force is the new, like, it's the new bless you. Every time someone sneezes, they say, "Oh, thank the Force."
I mean, she works at Droid, so they could have, if they wanted to have something that was kind of like a fun little thing, she could have been like, "Thank the Maker," or, you know, like she could have,
absolutely.
like, she, you know, she's a Droid person, and it would have been a nice callback to C-3PO. I mean, I think that would have been more appropriate, and it would have conveyed the same emotion, and it would have been a nicer little piece of fan service, maybe.
Yeah, you would assume this is not something that she came up with on her own. So this is a saying that exists in a world where people don't know who Jedi are. Thank the Force is a saying that people use for some reason. But on top of that, they're on Tatooine.
Right.
I mean, Tatooine and the Force have some serious history at this point. Like, how is it that people on Tatooine don't know who Jedi are, but simultaneously use the phrase "thank the Force"? It's just kind of all over the place. Like, I think it's a little bit of, you know, the writers forgetting what they've written a little bit. Like, because again, if the concept of, you know, God was completely forgotten for some reason, then people wouldn't say "God bless you" when you sneeze anymore. It would be a strange thing to say. Or if they did, they would wonder why they said it, and somebody would Google it.
You expect them to almost be like, "What's the Force?"
It's like, What did you say? What does it even mean?
I mean, again, like, and just to get this out of the way, this is the only sort of, like, factual problem I have with this show, for the most part, is the idea that they've forgotten 10 years after Return of the Jedi that there were ever things called Jedis. And I mean, it would be kind of forgivable, I guess, in the original sort of Lucas universe, because even in A New Hope, it's kind of like people are like, "Oh, that's some kind of old religion," right? Like, and then it, like, not everyone's gonna know who Luke, but we know that Rey in The Force Awakens and people who live on this, like, dump of a planet are like, you know who Luke Skywalker is? It's a Jedi. Everyone knows who Luke Skywalker is.
Yeah.
And you think, like, that's 30 years after, 10 years after Return of the Jedi. That's got to be the height of Skywalker's popularity.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's before he's disappeared from the public eye. Like, everyone should be like, go look for Luke. Like, you got a baby with Jedi powers? Take him to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody's naming their kid Luke Skywalker.
Skywalker School for the Gifted. Take him there,
Right,
man.
like there is a scene where they're sitting in the bar, right, and they're all celebrating watching the Death Star number 2 explode. Somebody in the bar must have been like, yeah, you know who blew that shit up? A Jedi, and he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's
It's
a
not
Skywalker.
like-
He's from here, man. He's
from
from
here.
Tatooine.
Exactly.
He's from here.
Yeah, he's from here, and you know who blew up the first Death Star? Also that guy.
Same guy. He's going 2 for 2.
He blew up and he belongs to a religion that is very popular. I think, I mean, maybe pick up a lot of followers after the second Death Star is blown up. Like, you'd think that more people would be interested in the Jedi and their way of thinking, not less.
Yeah, and you could even have, like, you know, arguments in the bar. Like, yeah, I heard Darth Vader's from Tatooine too. Like, that's BS, man. It's not true.
Yeah. He's from Bespin, idiot. Everyone knows that.
It's just, I don't know. It's just weird. I think it shows how well done this series is, that the nits that we have to pick are such sort of small things.
Yeah. And they could fix it really easily, by the way. Like, if they had, like, someone be like, yeah, you mean the Jedi? And he's like, what are Jedi? And it's like, man, how do you Mandalorians not know who the Jedi are? Like, it could be like a thing where, like, just in their culture, they don't talk about it because they withdrew from society. You know what I mean? Like, it could be something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even that has its own particular issue because of the Jedi Mandalorian wars. Like, I mean, like, there's, like, again, it just, I agree. And I also want to say that I am on team Star Wars is a big universe. There's places where they've never heard of Luke Skywalker. Like, in fact, the vast majority of the universe, they don't know about Jedis. They don't know about, and that's fine. We're not there. We're on Tatooine, as we've just said. Like, we're talking to people that were alive during the last war and know all of the major actors of the war. So, and I think, again, I agree that this is science fiction nitpicking, but it's just a strange place, and I think that we absolutely need to to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, like, it's a really good show. So the few errors, you know, when you watch Discovery, because there's errors all over the place, you start not to notice the Star Trek errors because it's everywhere. But here, because there's so few of them, you kind of, it's like it jumps out at you because there's only one sort of like glaring problem they have, and it's the Jedi problem.
This is your second one, Alex?
Oh, right. This is more of me trying to be funny, but yeah, you could run that clip. So it's the Tuskens when they're trying to lure the crate out. I really thought that this was going to be a fan service moment, and they were going to rip off their masks and like answer once and for all, like, what do Tuskens look like? Like, the what do Tuskens look like? What do Jawas look like? I think are both cool fan service, and I totally agree with them doing what science fiction should do and don't answer those questions.
Yeah, sure.
Science fiction is best when you leave stuff unanswered and you let us, the viewing audience, answer it. And I think they probably look really attractive for people that have no way to moisturize their skin, no water. I'm sure that they're very, very traditionally attractive people is my thought. But I really thought that they're going to pull off the masks. And the other thing I thought at the same time was that if they pull off their masks, the Tuskens really are the Mandalorians of the sand, because they never take off their masks. I mean, there's maybe some cultural overlaps there with
hence the mutual respect.
Exactly, with the Mandalorians.
Yeah. They, incidentally, I mean, I know it's not canon anymore because Disney murdered everything in the EU, including my childhood. But they do. There are unmasked Tuskens in Jedi Knight 2. Yeah, or Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight 1. There are unmasked Tuskens walking around, and they look like these like gray faces. They look weird. I mean, it's not. It's not. There's not a lot of definition. It's a pretty it's not a visually striking game by today's standard.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's similar to the Jawas. Like I think we do actually have pictures of them. It's just one of those things that like I like the idea of let's just leave it. Like just leave it unanswered.
No, we don't need I don't need Tusken faces.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I have a cultural standard view of them because they're barbarians, and all of these things that I've been taught. I think they did a really good job of making me question what I think they look like and
just
what that
say
means.
it, Alex. Just say it. You think they look like Fremen?
I mean, I do actually think they look like Fremen.
They got shiny
What's
blue
Fremen?
eyes.
What's
from Dune.
Fremen?
Oh, Fremen, the terrorist faction from Dune.
I'm not a huge Dune head. Is that what they call Dune fans? Dune heads?
I think they call them sandworms. No,
They probably call it Fremen, to be honest.
they probably do call them Fremen.
But yeah, no, I agree. Keep them masks. We
I think so
need
too.
to see. Unless we get like an episode where like they take it off and it's like they're all beautiful women. And it feels like an original Star Trek, like a TOS type of plot.
it would
they take
be,
it off and they're all like blonde and they speak perfect what is it, Galactic Basic in this case, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
And like, we aren't barbarians. We've just chosen a simple way of life. I see that. And McCoy gets seduced by one of them. And he's going to stay and live with them, and Kirk has to talk him out of it.
Right.
Sulu goes crazy because of some like drug they have, and he's running around with a sword again with his shirt off, like in that episode on the Pleasure Planet, and like it just it breaks down from there. Still better than Discovery.
Terrible. All right, Jesse, episode chat. What do you got?
Episode chit chat.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mando chit chat. This is general, but you can start it right at the beginning of the episode. You think you could stash that kid someplace safer than beside you. I know that there's like a lot of like people really love some Baby Yoda or the child, but when he lets that guy hang at the end of the opening scene, and there's like a bunch of things with red eyes that come out of the shadows that are clearly going to eat him. I mean, there's a lot of dangerous things everywhere, and he doesn't go to a lot of safe places, but he's always carrying the kid around, and the stroller's always open.
Yeah.
So that the child can, I guess, take a look at stuff. Now, I mean, the kid can protect himself, so I mean, maybe there's something to be said for, letting it be open so that if something jumps out, maybe the kid can be like force push.
Right.
Maybe it's more for Mando's safety, but I just think that the whole episode, the kid's there beside him forever.
Right.
I think he's there when he's fighting the Crate Dragon. That thing is breathing acid on people, and they're like, shouldn't we put the kid? And he's like, kid's fine.
Yeah. He was in a little pouch of a bantha.
Yeah, he's sitting in the back of the speeder bike right out there in the open with while the thing's literally melting people with its acid breath. And I was just thinking the whole time, there he is right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Goes in, the Mandalorian goes into the bar when he gets to the settlement, and he just leaves.
Not even paying. The kid even walks. The child even walks in, and he's like peeking around the corner. And he's like, "Where did he go?" I'm just sitting there thinking, like, he's oblivious to the fact that the child has even gotten out of the bag.
Yeah.
And I think this is one thing where I was thinking in the first season he was a little more careful about where the baby went, about where Baby Yoda went. I'm gonna call it Baby Yoda from now on.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, the comments will tell you how wrong you are soon. Don't worry.
I don't care. You know what? John Favreau has his opinion. I have mine. He can call the child all he wants. I like Baby. I think it should be canon now. They should be like, what's his name? Baby Yoda.
Oh God.
This is the way.
But I mean, to your point, like even the mafioso analog that he runs into is like, yeah, it's strange that you're bringing him to these like. It's not a good place for a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else agrees with you, like that you should not be taking a child around with you in a little bassinet thing.
Yeah.
But quickly, those bassinets would be very, very handy. Like, does every kid in universe have a bassinet? Like, have we moved past the Baby Bjorn? Like, does everyone? Because I don't see a lot of kids in the universe like going around in these little bassinets, but it does seem like It does seem like it would be very helpful. And also, if we're being honest, a stabilized arms container for a weapon mounting platform. I mean, I feel like this kind of thing would be very useful for solving almost every problem. But yeah, it's also useful for transporting
Whereas
the child.
if this was 900 years in the future in Star Trek Discovery, they'd still have a regular pram with wheels and maybe just pushing it with their hands.
With their hands. It would be white, though.
Yep.
It'd be white with like LEDs on the bottom or something, so it glows blue at some point. Yeah, but they'd still be pushing it.
Can I just add one thing to your observation, Jesse? I'm just gonna play this.
Sure, yeah.
The Mandalorian walks into the fight, sits beside the mafioso.
You know this is no place for a child.
Even the mafioso is telling him, "You're a bad parent." He walks
I want to
into the fight.
steal him, but I still feel like I got to tell you, this is wrong.
Yeah, this is a bad idea.
I can't believe you brought a baby in here. What's wrong with you?
And I'm happy you brought him in because we're trying to kill you to take the baby. But really?
I mean, it's almost to the point where you'd think that like the Karens would be like, is he being breastfed? Like you think that people are like, you know, like at the very beginning, like we should talk about his health and nutrition.
Din Djarin has trained himself to suckle the child.
This is the way.
Yeah, that's got to be a scene now where like someone walks in and he's got like half his shirt off, the helmet's still on, and the girl looks at him, and Ahsoka Tano's like, "What are you doing?" This is the way.
This is the way.
You don't have any milk, right?
Ow! Stop biting.
It's like, Mando, you know you don't have any milk, right? I have spoken. It's an interesting dynamic. The other thing that I thought was funny about this scene, and I won't actually play the clip, is that after the mafioso tells him that this is no place for a child, he says, "Wherever I go, he goes."
He goes. Yeah.
Right? And I immediately thought of My Buddy. Do you guys remember My Buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the cassette tape you could put in the back, or no,
It was
that's
like
Teddy Ruxpin.
No, it was the same era though. It was when they were trying to make
It's the Chucky
dolls.
doll, right? Like it's the one that they based Chucky on. Okay, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
They were trying to make dolls for boys a thing, because I guess they weren't selling enough dolls, and so they came up with My Buddy, and the whole tagline was like, "Wherever I go, he goes." And I was just like, "Is that a My Buddy reference? Is this some sort of deep cut?"
I think I'm going to go on. There's a lot of fan service in this episode. I don't think that was one of them.
No.
But the funny thing is,
the My Buddy was made by Hasbro too, I think. So I mean, if it was like a Kenner doll, then I'd be like, oh, maybe.
The thing
Kenner,
about
it's fun.
If you think about the plot of the show, though, the show is essentially My Buddy with blasters.
I feel like this is the point where Bert's not going to let this go. We're going to hear about the My Buddy thing. He's
Yeah,
did you
every
see in
episode.
episode 3? Did you see that? He had a striped shirt with the red overalls. I think. Am I seeing it wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think that we should switch this to Bert's actual prediction. Is that this is all very expensive paid advertisement? Like they got $100 million from Hasbro. That's how they paid for a few of these episodes.
Hasbro does make their toys now, right? But
yeah, they do.
But it's just like Bert. They don't even make My Buddy dolls anymore. They're gonna
right now.
They're getting people. They're getting kids prime for it, man.
You're gonna find out. Watch, it's gonna come to light that the body for all of the Baby Yoda dolls reuse My Buddy dolls.
Oh no! I really like
You
this.
scrub Yoda's
That's My
face
Buddy.
hard enough, and there's a.
Yep.
It's just.
It was My Buddy all along.
That to me was the biggest blunder last year when they released The Mandalorian, and it was very popular, right? And the child is popular, and Din Djarin is popular, the Razor Crest is popular, and they really you just think it's like they didn't anticipate the merchandising demand that there would be. There were no
Very
Baby
strange.
Yodas for Christmas. Like the only Mandalorian, like they made one like action figure, like it was like a Black Series Hasbro figure, like I think it's like the 6-inch ones. They sold out in like a day. Lego had a Razor Crest set that sold out like immediately. Like nobody foresaw any of the merchandising demand, and there was like nothing available Collector's got it all, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I think you're right. I think that it's a classic Star Wars story, right? This has happened every single time. They can never predict when they're going to hit, and this happens every single time. I don't know why.
they left a lot of money on the table, but they also went really hard at those Etsy people, because Etsy people were sewing their own, Baby Yoda Christmas dolls that year, and they shut them down.
They did. I mean, it was a big thing on Reddit. Was the people pushing back on like, all right, you guys. I mean, it's $1 billion company. Like, you don't need to sue these Etsy guys that are making 10 dolls.
They're sewing them by hand.
By hand, yeah.
They're like, some of them are knitted too. They're like those knitted yarn dolls.
They're knitted for children, Jesse. They're giving them to children. And Disney's like, the one thing we don't like is you hand making stuff for children.
We like stuff that's handmade by children.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, that's a good reference.
Yeah, I mean, I like the scent of blood on my toys, but as much as the next guy. Why? What's wrong with that? They're using slave labor to make toys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The grappling hook was, I think, your next one. Ooh.
Oh yeah, I did like the I liked the grappling hook. I thought it was. I just liked the return of the grappling. Did he use it in the first one to grab anybody like that? I don't think he did in the first.
I don't
season.
remember.
I think he did use it, but I don't. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, that was one thing. I highlighted my two main comments, but I had like another one. I did at first. I feel like it struggled. I was like, oh, this isn't really well written. Like about 10 minutes in, I didn't like some of the writing, but then it kind of corrected itself. But I did feel like there was a pacing problem at the beginning that I didn't quite enjoy. It was a great episode. That crate dragon battle is going down in history as like one of the coolest monster fights, I think, for all of Star Wars. Better than the Rancor fight with Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. It makes that look like a pile of crap.
Yep.
Right? What a boring thing compared to the crate dragon battle.
I mean, they probably spent as much on this one battle as they did on that whole movie.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably fair.
No, I feel like this has to be cheaper than building like that giant set and making like all the... No?
I don't think so.
No.
Labor was also much cheaper back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only they could do for their movies what they do for their toys. Labor could be real cheap. Okay.
All right, so I'll start mine, I guess. So my first one was Mandalorian walks into the fight to the death match and he talks to the mafioso. Mafioso tells him that he's a bad parent. Then he pulls a gun on him and he says,
Thank you for coming to me. Normally I have to seek out remnants of you Mandalorians in your hidden hives to harvest your precious, shiny shells. Beskar's value continues to rise. I've grown quite fond of it.
okay, so this guy hunts down Mandalorians for their Beskar and sells it on the black market. So he's apparently like a pretty badass dude with a badass crew who can hunt down Mandalorians and kill them and take their stuff. But our trusty hero kicks the crap out of them in like 5 minutes. So the question to me became, do all the other Mandalorians just suck and he's really good? The reputation of a Mandalorian, because everybody talks about them, like, oh, he's a Mandalorian. You know what that means? Oh, yeah, he's good at killing.
Yeah.
Now, if that's the case, if everybody knows they're good at killing, are they still good at killing? Or is he just good at killing and everybody else sucks and is garbage at killing and just gets, taken out by some no-name mafioso?
I think my sort of hot take is that he is definitely like hands above the rest of the remnants of the Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not exactly sure. Like, this guy doesn't seem extremely cunning. Like, inviting him to a fight and then pulling a gun on him is not it's not the most elaborate trap, if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if he's, again, this is one of those, like, is he finding the Mandalorians and then just, like, gassing them while they sleep? Like, is he not fighting fair? Then maybe he can kill a bunch of Mandalorians. But my sort of initial reaction is that he is actually quite good. So if he's like a 9 Mandalorian, that the remnants they're running into are like 5s and 6s. Like they're good fighters. It's just that in an unfair fight they're going to lose.
Yeah.
As opposed to our Mando, who can turn the tide on any situation.
And I mean, like this guy upgraded himself in the first season, right? Like he went from sort of like an intermediate Mando to a higher level Mando. So
Tricked out Mando. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's possible that there are more, because there's the what do they call it? The foundlings, right? So they have youth, right? The only thing, they all have a Beskar steel helmet. It's like everyone gets to have the helmet, and then you got to earn the rest of the crap as you get older. I'm sure there's lots of young Mandalorians out there who aren't skilled that this guy could probably murder or at least intimidate into giving up their armor.
Yeah. Yep. It's like I'm trying to figure out what the power levels are supposed to be. Like,
no, me too.
How powerful is everybody supposed to be at this point? And
there he is there.
Yeah.
But I think, Bert, you'd bring up, this is sort of to our earlier point about the Jedis. Like, if there's an idiom about Mandalorians, if there's phrases about like, oh man, Mandalorians are so scary, they're not talking about the current Mandalorians. They're talking about the Mandalorians from quite a long time ago, which implies that they have some kind of system of tracking dates and names that lasts longer than 10 years. But yeah, I think that's my initial thought.
Yeah. All right. Generally, though, I think my other sort of point that I observed was just that it was a great episode. It was really entertaining. I loved the sort of finite episode plot, but it doesn't tell me. Like I don't. He seems rudderless at this point. Like he's got no leads.
Yeah.
I guess what I expect to happen in the next episode is that the lead finds him, and I assume that it'll be Boba Fett.
That's like he's turning to go in that direction. He's going to go meet him right now. The guy has his armor, and he's going to get his armor back. I'm sure that's step 2.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I love that he's bald. It's canon now. Look at him. Looks weathered. I love that it's the same actor that played Jango Fett. I mean, I do.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I'm not a huge prequels guy. I'm not really interested in them at all. I've seen them a bunch of times. I do like, though, the continuity that Disney's tried to keep between, and I'm calling it Disney because it's not Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm is a shell. But I mean, like, I like the continuity. Like, I liked the guy having Jimmy Smits play Bail Organa in Rogue One. Those things are just nice. They keep like a lot of sort of in-universe continuity, at least with the prequels, and they help kind of stitch it together. And I like that they got this guy. I forget his name. He's from New Zealand, right?
Not sure.
Anyway,
but to your point, I think like one big thing, like my dad, for old person hot take, like my dad really likes that he can stitch those things together. Like you said, like that the actor's the same. He liked like the Skywalker stuff just because, like, as an older person, he likes that the story is all knitted together, like you said. Like it's in a way that keeping the actors, and obviously Disney's one of the few people that can actually do this, is getting any actor, or in the case of some people using dead actors, for continuity, does help people like my father who loves the series but is not going to watch Clone Wars. He's not going to read comics. Like he's not going to and so when you use the same actor, it really telegraphs to him something really important, and I think that you're right that it is very important that they're doing it.
Yeah.
All right. Any next episode prediction? I think we all sort of agree that Boba Fett's going to make an appearance early on, and I don't know, beat up the Mandalorian or something. Who knows? Maybe he'll waylay him and ask him what he's up to. I'm very excited to see what angle he's going to come at it from. He must have known, if he's been on the planet, that somebody has his armor and he just didn't care. So I guess he doesn't want it anymore. Maybe he's turned his life around. Who knows?
Sorry, was that armor supposed to be his father's? I don't know what's canon. Is that Jango Fett's armor that he then just repainted like green and yellow? Yeah,
I believe that is canon. Like literally scooped his dad's brains out of the the top and repainted it. I believe that is canon. Yeah.
If Beskar is that valuable, why would
It is that valuable.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm scooping my father's brains out of a helmet for Beskar.
I mean, maybe I'll pay somebody to scoop the scooping part.
I don't
but
think
yeah,
you have to scoop. I think it was just cut off with a lightsaber. I think if he just jostled it slightly, the head would come.
Fall out on its own.
Like that's actually one thing that I remember when I watched Attack of the Clones for the first time, and he picks it up. I'm like, that head's gonna fall right out of that helmet.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense that it's not falling out because I saw him take it off and put it on, and he didn't put it. There's no strap or anything.
Yeah.
Like when he's on Geonosis and he's up there with Dooku, he's just got the helmet here, right? Like he's not wearing it, and then he's like, bloop, puts it on.
Yeah.
That head should really just tumble right out.
I agree.
And things got real dark for young
But
Boba.
I think, that was his face. I mean, that was a tough scene. But I think this is something that we'll probably talk about as the episodes go on. Is that like the Mandalorian is not written for children, and every single other piece of Star Wars is, and so this is the first HBOing of Star Wars, and other than obviously some comics and obviously some fan fiction, which I can link to you guys later if you want to check out. It's stuff like that I think allows them to do stuff, and I'm at one hand worried that they're going to HBO it up, but I don't think that they will. I don't think they're going to have topless dancers and sexual violence in the next episode. But I do think that, like, to your point, I do think that there's stuff that they can be more explicit with the violence than they can be in the original Star Wars, and that's great.
You don't think they're going to do Cantina after dark?
I don't. But I do have a story about that bird I can send you.
Oh boy.
You just lay the plot out for us right now with a little bit of description.
No. This is sorry. This is
It's like the Red Shoe Diaries of Star Wars.
Exactly. Like this is the stuff that you would never see on a Disney platform.
Yeah, it's a little known TV show from the '90s, and Harrison Ford hosted it, and he dressed like Han Solo, and he read softcore stories from the cantina. That's a TV show. People could watch that. That would be great.
We should pitch it.
Maybe I'm getting old, but that's one thing I don't. This is a general comment. I think a lot about getting old because I'm getting old every day. I just finished watching Lovecraft Country, which is an HBO show, and it was great. But at my age, I'm starting to be like, why are they always naked? Why are there so many naked people? Right? Like, there's a lot of naked people. And when I was a teenager, and like I remember when we first got HBO, I was like, this is great. It doesn't matter why she's naked. The important thing is that there's naked people. We only have dial-up internet. This is the only way I'm seeing boobs right now. And now I'm just like, did they have to show her naked? I mean, like, I think they could have done the scene without the nudity, and I could have gotten the same meaning. And now I find it just makes me feel uncomfortable, especially, and not just because I'm getting older, but like for the people who are acting in it. And you kind of feel like, does HBO even need to do that anymore? Yeah. Like, is it appropriate in today's climate, or like, and am I just getting old and I don't like it anymore?
Yeah, I think
because skateboards bother me now, so it's possible.
You're gonna mark up that curb, kid.
Yeah, or like in some movies when swearing's too gratuitous, I'm just like, nobody talks like that, right?
Yeah. Any predictions for next episode beyond? Boba Fett's gonna make an appearance and
right. I mean, I think a couple of good prediction or important predictions, I think, is what chapter do we see Ahsoka? And any of our other fun predictions, like will the Mandalorian have intimate relations? I don't think that's happening next episode, personally.
It would be weird.
It would be weird. But also, like, yeah, what chapter do you guys think, Jesse, what do you think is Ahsoka's going to roll in?
I think next week or the week after. I mean, like, you've got Rosario Dawson. She's playing what I understand to be a very beloved character. Maybe one of the most, maybe the most beloved female character at this point in time. Maybe even more than Princess Leia. I don't know.
And Anakin's apprentice.
Yep.
Yeah, and Anakin's apprentice, right? Like, probably the best thing that came out of any of the cartoon content. So I just feel like they're wasting it if they like wait till like episode 5 I mean, I was kind of hoping that the first episode was going to be him starting his quest and like immediately rushing into the action when she maybe like ambushes him, tries to take the child, yada yada yada, right? Like, and that, you know, it's a nice meet cute, and you know, then they reluctantly become friends. I don't think we're gonna get romantic relations. I hope not. I don't think.
Yeah, I hope not too.
I don't like that. You know, it's like, oh, here's this really strong female character, and she's, you know, she's there to help move the story along and be his love interest. No, she's there to be better than him probably in every single way because she's a Jedi.
Yep,
right? Like she's gonna be the person saving his butt, in my opinion, or she should be.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I mean, she's fought in so many wars.
Yeah, but having said that, you know, Disney eliminated Rose Tico from almost entirely from the Last Jedi, and I really liked that character, and I thought that was incredibly offensive. So maybe they'll just have her be like a really subservient woman who just listens to all of his stories, lets him mansplain to her. You know, just to make their fans happy instead of doing what might be morally right. But again, they're using children probably to make their toys for, you know, those rides at Disney. There's not, like, they don't move. There's no hydraulics. There's children in them. Moving them with cranes.
It's just cranks.
So let's just
pulleys.
admit that I like a lot of the content they make, but this is not a company to go to if you think you have a lot of strong morals.
Okay, I don't think Ahsoka's going to show up in the next episode. I think the third episode at the earliest. And I think so because I don't think there's enough time in an episode to do both, to introduce both Boba and Ahsoka. I think like one of them's going to sort of take all the air in the room, and it's going to be too much to have both in the same episode. I also remember that from the trailer, the boat planet, the planet where he's on a boat for some reason, seems to be the same place where she's sort of spying on him from the crowd. It has the same sort of gray sky and everything. So I think to have him encounter Boba Fett, have some sort of, I assume they're going to fight, maybe some dialogue, then find a clue that leads him to the boat planet, head to the boat planet, land on the boat planet, get on a boat, and then meet her also. That's a lot for one episode. So I assume it's going to be later, episode 3, maybe at the earliest. But that's my prediction. Yeah.
Is there a trailer for
Mandalorian or for next episode? I haven't seen one.
No, I don't think so.
I couldn't find one, but because I agree. Like, I think I can't see them doing it after the third episode. That just feels like a waste then. Because I think there's only 10 episodes, right?
No, I think it's
8.
I think it's 8.
Oh,
because it's 18 chapters.
Yeah.
Come on, son. They got to do it. They got to do it by the third episode. No waste.
10?
I hope we get to see some lightsaber play. Like, I hope there's some maybe there's like a fight with Moff Gideon at the end.
Right, the dark saber. Yeah. I mean, as I said earlier, like I like avoiding the Force people and avoiding the Jedi, but it's Star Wars. You can't avoid forever. Like, and when I think, Jesse, you're right, when they do put their scenes together, it's going to look really amazing. And Ahsoka getting a live action fight scene, it's going to be, I really, really hope that they pull out all the stops for her first fight scene, because I really want it to be very, very memorable, and to just to make the fans happy. Yeah. Me chief among them.
All right. So we'll wrap it there for this week. Catch us next time on El Mandalero, our Mandalorian chat podcast series, and we'll be on YouTube. We'll put all the links to everything in the show notes. They'll be on YouTube and in the bottom for your podcast. Leave us voice messages at our Anchor page. Send us emails. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to have comments. Post in the subreddit, because we read there from time to time. Fill out our poll if you want to follow along with us and see who's the best at predicting what Disney's writers are going to come up with. And subscribe.
Thank the Force.
Thank the Force.
Thank the Force.
Thank the Force.
Definitely we should sign off every episode.
Oh, yeah.